with live Reiki meditation with Robin. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, Robin Bornstein, Reiki Master, Healing Place, Medfield. Thank you, Helen, for having me again.
Yes, and Helen Chen Lu here. We've been coming to your monitor since March, and now we've gotten to such a habit of doing these shows. I call them really more like informative type of spiritual building shows that we're really interested in helping to grow a community of healers. So one of the things that Robin and I were always thinking about what to do, where to go, how to spin our little company into a bigger company. And she and I, in fact, Robin was the one who brought this up. Wouldn't it be nice, Helen, if we could do a live stream Reiki course, Reiki 1 course? And I'm like,
yes, I think it's time.
It's time. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I think we can. We just have to figure it out. So
Yes.
tonight, we want to demystify what is Reiki for those people who do not know what it is and how helpful it could be in, your life, my life. So I figured Robin and I are going to share our experiences. And then if anyone out there who would like to share their Reiki experience, please jump in with your questions because we would love to hear what your thoughts are and what you do with Reiki. So, Robin, do you want to start how you started this Reiki journey?
So I first had my first Reiki, I think it was before I actually met you. I actually met a woman who did Reiki and cranial sacral therapy, and she was amazing. That was my first experience with hands-on energy healing. And then I found you and you started having some Reiki with you and reflexology. And then I took some Reiki classes with you. And that's how I was introduced and became a Reiki master. And I love working with energy. I love being able to feel energy around me. And you taught me so much about energy, Helen. And it's been so much fun. It's been a fun journey. And I just think it's really helped me learn to meditate. That's been the biggest plus, was sitting with myself and doing, holding the Reiki life force energy on me and sitting for 20, 30 minutes was very meditative. So that's when I got into meditation. So it's really healing to do on yourself. So I would love it if everyone would, learn Reiki 1. If that's all you're going to do, so you can learn how to help yourself.
Well, Reiki 1, the 3 levels of Reiki. Reiki 1 is for physical healing. Reiki 2 is for remote learning, remote healing, plus it's also emotional healing. And then Reiki 3, the master level, is really for spiritual opening. So for those people who decide to go from level 1, 2, and then the master level, I think I have really found it to be quite profound.
I agree 100%. So when did you first take Reiki 1? How many years ago was that?
I would say, here I am racking my brain. I started my practice in 2006, and I believe it was like 2004 when I first decided I was introduced to it through my teacher, Lisa Campion. And she's a local Reiki master here in this little part of Massachusetts. And at the time, my son was really sick, and I was trying to find alternative ways to heal him or help him to heal. And because taking pills became such a drag that I really wanted to help jumpstart him. Really, what can we do that we could tap into our own ability to heal? And then from there, that's when I went into reflexology and then to energy medicine school, chakra balancing. And I swear, I've been in schools. I started going back to school at the age of 46. In some ways, I'm still back at school.
I think we're always in school, especially when you're doing healing work. There's always so much more information that we're discovering.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there.
Yeah. Now, when you started to learn Reiki, Robin's was one of my Reiki students way
Mhm.
back 1,000 years ago. Why did you decide to learn Reiki?
I decided to learn Reiki because I felt very drawn to it. I had experienced some Reiki healing myself and found it to be so incredibly healing and helpful to my energy and my mood and just my overall well-being. It felt incredible after receiving it. And then I was just so drawn to learning more about what it is. Like, what is this amazing healing treatment that's making me feel so good? So that's when I started reading up on universal life force energy and Reiki, and then I decided I was really called to it. It was almost like it was like a magnet. I just had to do it. It was just pulling me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. And
Yes.
it was a very physical calling. And then that's when it was always very spiritual before that, Helen, as you know, and I think that's why we hit it off. And then it just opened up so much um, more, I guess, healing information to my life. And it was just a blessing. It was a blessing in so many ways.
Yeah, well, one of the things about most people, one of the questions I always get is, where does Reiki come from? Where does this energy come from?
Mm.
Well, first of all, I always tell people everyone has healing energy. We that's all
Every,
we are, matter and energy. That's the only two things that we are made of. And so what happens is energy is all around us. So
yes.
this universal energy that we are talking about is it fills every single nuclear space.
Mm.
It's space in between space. I hope that makes
In
sense to
between
you.
time, that's what I like to
In
call it.
between time, in between matter
Mm-hmm.
is energy. And what happens is when somebody has been, what I was about to say is, we emit energy, healing energy all the time. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
it is not Reiki energy. And the only way somebody can become a Reiki practitioner or someone practicing in Reiki is there's a ceremony
Mm.
which a Reiki master will embed Reiki symbols into your personal energy field. This
Yes,
here is known
your
as the
aura,
aura.
into your aura.
Yeah.
Yes.
And once it's embedded, the Reiki master will close up your aura, and these symbols, the Reiki symbols, there's three of them, which I will go into more once we get into the class. It's really locked inside of your energy field for the rest of your life, permanently.
Mm-hmm. It's
Mhm.
always with you.
Yeah, and it's always with you. But one thing I love about the energy is you could use the Reiki energy anytime you choose. And if you choose not to use it, it just sleeps until you need it.
Yes, it's
So
always
that's
with you.
one, yeah, that's one of the things I love about Reiki. And another thing about I really love about the energy is how I'm so aware. Sometimes I'm too acutely aware of all the details that's going around me.
Ah, yes. You're very intuitive and
Intuitive.
yes, and when when your awareness is heightened like that, you just pick up on everything that people are feeling.
Yeah, like Bo T here was saying, he's been feeling this since he was a child,
Mm.
and chances are very good. I truly believe if you were a healer in another lifetime, you carry that energy from lifetime to lifetime, and then you built upon what you already have.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I feel that we definitely can tap into, I call it, I guess it's almost like your spiritual DNA, which I think we talked about a little bit last week. It's like you carry it forward with you.
Exactly.
There's another theory out there that we also inherit our families, not only their DNA, but their spiritual DNA throughout history. Throughout, you may carry on like a family trauma from generation to generation, and that's just unfortunately how it is. And you can change that if you're aware. Don't you? Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, but But I also noticed too, it also could skip generations.
Yes.
For example, in my family, there's 5 of us, and I'm the only one with, I'm going to call this a weird gift.
Mm.
I have 2 that are like walking, sleeping zombies. Yeah, maybe 3 of them are sleeping, walking, sleeping zombies. They're not the walking dead, but they're just walking around unaware, have no idea. And because they're such young souls, I'm looking at them and say, "Oh my God, where did you come from?" And you know, I don't know about your parents, but my parents were very young souls. So I used to sit and go, "Really, really, really?"
They just don't get it,
They
and that's
just didn't
okay.
get it.
And that's okay.
So I think my lesson with my family was how to develop inner strength, and how to, just because everyone around me were young souls and didn't see what I saw, I just found my strength within myself and to move ahead without them. Ooh,
Yeah.
does that sound mean?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. I think, we all have our journey in this life that we have to follow, and sometimes, other people around us just can't be on that same journey with us.
Yeah, very. And it's kind of sad when I always hope we could evolve together, but instead, I find myself, I won't say I'm dragging them through the mud, the energy mud, but as Boti says, it's a soul contract.
Yes, if it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
That's what he
And
said.
yeah. And what it is too is because I have chosen to live with these people. So
Mm,
what am I supposed to learn is really key. What I choose to learn.
I
I'm
like that.
making that face.
I like that.
Yeah.
That
So
um,
I find myself get frustrated. Just because we are Reiki masters, it does not mean that all of a sudden um, frustration and anger goes away. It doesn't.
oh, it doesn't. It's still
No, it
there,
doesn't.
people.
It's just that I'm so aware that I'm angry now.
Yes, and it's so funny. I think people have this misconception that if you're a spiritual person, or if you meditate, that you live in la la land, and that's just not true. That's just not the way it is. So I think it's interesting. There's a big misconception about that.
Yes, as long as we live in a world duality,
Mm.
we still got to go with the flow. And
Hmm.
I wonder. Here's a thought, Robin. If we live in a community of only healers, people like us, do you think we would get along better? What do you think, Bo T? Do
Probably,
you think
probably
so?
not. Probably not. I mean, we're still people. Everyone has personalities. We all have quirks, and it's just it may sound lovely, but I don't think that's reality. I don't think that's the real world. I don't think that's just not the way things are. I mean, even if you were to go to a private island and have nothing is ever perfect. Like I sometimes like I don't want to get into too much, but yeah, if you were to take 100 healers that are all fabulous, wonderful, lovely, lovely people, and you put them in a retreat center on an island for a month, don't tell me that people aren't going to be annoyed with one person, or there's just so many. Everybody still has their personalities. I mean, that's why some people resonate with one healer and have amazing healing sessions, but they may not resonate with another healer. It's just like any other thing in life.
Yeah,
You may
sure.
you may love one primary care physician and not love another primary care physician, or you may love one professor and not another professor, and they're teaching the same subject. So it's very personal.
Yeah. And then not only that, but I also think too, when you start to outgrow somebody,
Hmm.
you've been a team for years, and all of a sudden one day it doesn't feel right anymore. And
Mm.
so you pray. I always pray they come with me, or maybe they pray that I stay with them. So I always find that's a hard one too, especially
It is.
as you grow energetically and expand. So this is something that I give. people options of what to think about. What do they want to do as they are evolving their lives?
Can you hear me? I think there's a problem with the system. Can you hear me? I see.
I can hear you. Just keep on talking, Robin, so that will be good. I
Hear
think
me?
Robin got a new camera, and she's almost there trying to figure out. She still needs to configure that camera. So anyway, so
Can
I'm
you
just
hear
so
me
thankful.
now?
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, great. I think we have a little interruption. I just think it's just that's just the way life is, and I think that's part of the healing journey is just accepting what is, and
Hmm.
accepting people where they are, and just allowing the energy to be, just and being with what you're presented with, and trying to love unconditionally. That's the big goal.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the Reiki energy, which I really love, that Reiki flows on a what I call a narrow frequency bandwidth,
Mm,
and and there's some people who I said become Reiki junkies, and they love to be attuned over and
yes.
over again. So that's how one becomes a Reiki practitioner. That's why we talked about a little bit earlier that Reiki master inserts these symbols inside of us. And some people end up becoming Reiki junkies because they love the attunement and how they feel afterwards. And
Yes.
and then what happens, their energy band gets wider within themselves, and they could feel so much of the energy just flowing.
Yes, and it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Yes. So,
Helen, how many times a year do you attune, or do you get attuned, or do you attend?
no, I'm one of
Okay,
those. I'm too practical. That's my problem.
okay,
I'm one of those people. I don't believe to be over the top. There's a couple little hobbies I have. I'm a little bit over the top, but I'm
okay.
usually very practical because I always believe when somebody comes to me and they say, Helen, can you attune me again? And I go, why?
Right. Yeah.
Once is enough.
And you don't actually need to be attuned again ever. Like you can just do it the three times, the three, But it isn't like I've gone several times to a nice retreat center where when we could get together in person. And actually, I did do one attunement during the pandemic where we were on Zoom together. And it was amazing because there were five of us, and everybody was, I think there were two on different continents. And it was really an amazing experience. And it's just a nice way to network and connect and hold space for each other. But I would do that like twice a year if I
Really?
just because I love meeting new people. And I love this one particular Reiki master that does this attunement. She's fabulous, and I get an email every once in a while, and if I can join, I join, just because it's a lovely, nice thing to do on a Saturday morning. It's wonderful.
Well,
So
yeah. See, I'm just one of those. I figure once is enough because I just can't buy into. Is that going to make me a better person? I
no. It's just a nice thing that you do. It's almost like sitting with yourself and giving yourself Reiki. That's basically what you're doing. But you're sitting with other people, and you have conversation, and you talk about different experiences, and you talk about different energy, and
I'm,
it's just a fun networking Reiki circle. It's fun.
I'm surprised you never invited me to come to one of these.
Oh, I think I have, but you are always so busy, Helen. The next time I get an email, and especially you are always like, Helen doesn't stop. She's always writing, 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 or working, working.
Well,
And
that's what
so,
I've
yeah,
been doing all weekend. I've been
exactly.
writing a manual to go with my Reiki, when we do the live
Yeah,
stream.
next time she does it at once every 4 months, I think, and I think she just did one last month. I didn't go. I didn't have time myself. I had things going on. But yeah, next time she does it, I will let you know, and hopefully we can do it in person. And yeah, it's just a nice, and it's usually just 2 hours. It's just
Just
I have been to all like 8 hour ones before, and that's just a whole other experience. But
Well,
That's
I
definitely,
also,
it's the Reiki junkie in me.
yeah, that's your Reiki junkie coming out,
Hmm.
girly girl.
Hmm.
So, one of the things, as Rob and I were sitting and talking about, well, what are we going to teach in this course? And so far, I think I've got it down to 8 lessons. 8. I'm thinking, oh, there's so much I want to teach. And I don't even think Robin even heard it. So I hope you don't mind, everybody. Just please feel free to jump in if you think I'm missing something. So I figured with the first lesson, I would teach all the introduction. What is it? How does it flow? We'll talk about hand placement. How does the energy can be manipulated?
Mm.
And the second lesson I was thinking of, we're going to talk about the importance of grounding, because one thing about Reiki energy, as we are channeling universal energy, it
Mm.
comes into the top of the head and goes all the way down the spine and down the feet. And once it hits the feet, that energy that we did not use, the Reiki energy, it gets grounded, it goes back into Mother Earth. So that there's a lot of grounding we have to do. And this is really important because, you know, all of a sudden there's so many things, instead of just being open and given, we're in our heads, we're thinking too much about it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so anyway, so the second class, we're going to talk about the importance of grounding and be like a tree. And I
Mm.
also want to talk about the light and the dark side of healing. So, one of the things that I am very big about is teaching people about entities. Uh,
Mm.
we're going to combine that with angels and spirit guides, because we need to understand that there's all kinds of energy out there. And a lot of times it's all about how do we protect ourselves and whoever we're working with. And
Yes.
then I'm just going to do this kick butt meditation. You're going to meet angels and your spirit guides. You're going to meet your spiritual team.
Yes. Which is so much fun to do. So I see a question up here. I think it was Jean actually asked on the side here. What did it say? Jean,
Well, she wants to do a refresh. I
yeah,
think if you have not done it in a really long time, a refresher course is really great.
I think so too. And actually, Helen, you've taught so many Reiki 1 students already that
Yeah.
maybe they don't need to do the whole Reiki 1 class over again. I mean, they could if they want to, or maybe just having a refresher class.
Well, I'm going to be adding a lot more materials
Okay.
because I've learned so much more than the last time that we taught it.
Mm.
I think it's really important to understand this, because one of the things that I really want to emphasize is, what are the responsibility of a Reiki practitioner,
Hmm.
and how to set up to give a healing, how to
Right.
coach the person that you're working with to get them ready. How do you set the intention?
Hmm.
And one of the things that we did a little bit in the live class is how to use a pendulum to read energy.
Yes.
So this is something that I love to teach, because as much as everyone likes to do this, but something about that visual that shows you, okay, this is how the Reiki is flowing.
Mm.
And the thing that I'm going to plan to do is we're going to develop intuitive exercises so you can actually feel energy, which I think is really important. So I have all this outline, and then once we get into that, I want you to start understanding your aura. How do we pick up information and transmit
Mhm.
unspoken information all the time?
Absolutely. And
And
that's an important one.
and since Bo T does a lot of, I would say, remote healing, that's what he's doing. He's speaking healing without words, but
Hmm.
his intention. And then Bo wants to know about the different hand chakras. Yes, we're going to talk about that too.
Hmm.
In live classes, I love to set people up so they can actually see the energy move and feel it.
Mm.
Oh, there was one class. This is one of my favorite classes. Uh, there was somebody in class at the time, Robin. Robin's going to be embarrassed a little bit here. And she had an entity on her. How does she know she had an entity? She said she's been feeling really off and she didn't feel like herself anymore. And I said to her, do you feel like there's something inside of you that needs to come out?
Mm.
So that one person it was the perfect learning opportunity. We pulled the entity out of the person, and Robin had and everyone in class helped. And there's Robin, she had a tactile response.
Uh-huh.
Remember, Robin, you threw up in
Yeah.
the trash can. And I go, yes.
Oh yeah, it
Everybody
was very like it was unbelievable. Yeah.
yeah, we pulled that entity out of the
Mhm.
person. It was quite cool.
Yeah,
And
it
we're
was.
going to talk about what to do when we feel something is not right in the room and entities are there. Okay, that's something we need to really emphasize.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about aftercare every time, how to keep your energy clean,
Yes.
not only for the practitioner, but
Mm-hmm.
also for the person who's receiving. So this is so important that we do self-care all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then lesson 6 is all about the attunement. We're going to do a group attunement, and then we're going to offer us another service if you want to do a private attunement with either Robin or me. We'll set up a schedule to do that. And then lesson number 7 is all about what's your responsibility as a healer. We're going to go into it more in depth and what you need to do. How do you teach the person that you're working with how to heal?
Mm.
Options, because everybody knows, the energy is not coming from you; it's coming through you. All right, this is really important. And then lesson number 7, I'm hoping to do some business building for those people who are interested in finding clients, because after Reiki 1, you could actually do Reiki on clients and actually get paid for it. And
Mm.
that's something I like to talk a little bit about. It's hard to talk into a big business, but if I could get you going for those people who are interested in doing that, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that's one thing. I think the way you teach it, Helen, is very different than a lot of the other classes that I see out there. Sometimes they'll teach, Reiki 1 in one day, like from 9 to 5 on a Saturday, which
Yeah,
I think can be done. It's a lot of information. It can absolutely be done that way. But some people, like for me, I liked how you did it. It was more of like, 2 hours on a Tuesday night, 2 hours on a Thursday night. It just worked. That schedule worked better for
I
me.
think it does.
Yeah,
And
I think it's different. It's personal. Some people don't have that time, but I definitely think it's a lot of information. So
it
it's
was,
just
and
yeah,
when I was doing it in person, there was a lot of hands-on, because I really want to teach people
yes,
how to feel energy. By understanding what you're feeling, you could actually really, really help the person. And not only that, you grow as a practitioner,
yes,
because because anyone could follow what I call a blueprint.
mhm,
Okay, here's the map. Oh,
yeah.
let me show you.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, here's the map. Here's the blueprint.
right. And that doesn't always necessarily the
No,
energy doesn't flow that way. I mean, it's a way to get started, I believe, because I've had Reiki sessions done before where the practitioner just leaves her hand on one part of my body for the entire time because that's the part of my body that needs it. Um, I one time couldn't move my shoulder. I had a frozen shoulder, and I had 2 cortisone shots in both my shoulders at one point. This is when my kids were little, and I was constantly lifting up babies in car seats and all kinds of things. And so I had cortisone shots in my shoulder, but years later, I couldn't lift up my shoulder. And so I called someone I know who does Reiki, and I said, I need to come over. She just worked on my shoulder. She kept her hand there for like I don't know, like an hour and 15 minutes. I walked out of there. I couldn't lift my arm when I went in there. When I left her office, I could move my shoulder. I had full movement,
wow.
and I haven't had an issue since, and that was like a couple of years ago. So it's amazing how our energy can get stuck, and
Oh
how
yeah.
yeah how having a talented healer in your phone is helpful.
Yeah, and I'm just I have probably given over 10,000 sessions since
Hmm.
2006, give it take 1,000. I'm still amazed what it does. every single time I put my hand on. And what I always tell people when they say thank you for healing me, I said, no, 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 no. I don't do, I'm just the middleman.
Yes.
I don't do the actual healing.
Yes,
So
we
all
hold the
that
space.
healing,
We hold the space for you.
exactly. Well, I'm holding space, and so it's coming through me, and I'm just the middleman. That's all, and you're doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I really want to emphasize because everyone has the capability to self heal.
Yes, everyone can do this. Everyone.
And then somebody asked me, well, if they have a capability to self heal, then why do we die? Well,
That's that's the way life was created. we
well,
all it's one thing
I
we all
mean,
have in common.
it's called wear and tear. And I said, listen, dude, even machine dies after a while. Nothing lasts forever. All we could do is hopefully age well
And gracefully.
and gracefully, slowly,
Mm-hmm.
but organically, duality, we have what I call everyone has defective DNA,
Mm.
physical DNA. So depending on what runs in your family, that's what your health is.
And if you're aware of what your DNA is, if you are lucky enough to know,
Mm-hmm.
there are things we can all do to help prevent certain things. Some things just can't be helped, but some things, if you know certain um, issues run in your family, then you can try to live accordingly to have a healthier lifestyle, which I think we should all be, eating well, exercising, reducing our stress. All of that is going to be wonderful for everyone.
Well, anyways, it is at the end of our broadcast, and
Mm-hmm.
then what I would like to do next week, if you have any idea what you would like us to talk about, please feel free to put it in the box below or above, wherever
Yes.
that damn box is.
Yes, we have lots of stories we can tell and share. If
Oh
there's
yeah,
something you want, I'm trying to think. There's somebody did ask a question, which I don't know if we can. You go back down the list here. I know it's.
hopefully, and then
I think it was Bo. Bo asked, "Isn't there galactic law they have to follow these dark entities?" Yes, there is, and that was a great question. Did you see that question?
no, I didn't see it, hon.
Okay, so when I experience or I'm in the presence of that type of energy flow, you can ask if you feel that energy to leave. They must leave. You can just, if you're sitting in your office and you're feeling, oh, you just say, you must leave. I feel an energy here. You must be gone. Send it away. I mean, we have that power to do that.
Yeah, and that's because we live in a dimension of free will.
Yes. And I know that might sound crazy to some people, but hey, it works. If you're feeling something weird, say it.
Yeah, and
Ask it to leave and you'll feel better. Come back and
you know,
tell me.
there
Share
are
your stories.
like in the course, I'm going to talk about the different levels of entities. So what Robin is describing is that the what I call the low level of entities, and it
Mm,
goes further up to well, you know, there's still demonic possessions.
mm-hmm.
I know a little bit about that because, to be honest with you, I'm really am afraid. When I was learning about in one of my classes, I got really nervous.
Mm,
And I know as a healer, we need to be equipped to know in case, heaven forbid, something should happen. So that's something we're going to talk more about in the
mm-hmm.
course. So if that's okay. And in the meantime, I think next week when we meet, let's do a little Reiki meditation if you
Yes,
are ready to do that.
that would be great. That would be great.
All right, honey buns. So I want I'm gonna bid everyone good night. Have a safe week. Stay warm,
Stay healthy.
stay healthy, and let's talk again next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yes, and practice your breathing. I know we didn't do meditation tonight,
And
but
Alice,
practice your breathing. Just for 1 minute a day, just sit and breathe.
yep.
Nice deep breaths.
As I always tell people, breathing. There's several things that are really important to healing. Breathing's number one.
Mm,
Setting your intention of what you want to do with the healing. Being present. This is really
mm,
important. Being present. Be here. Be now. So
Yes.
that's something in the Reiki class I'm going to be driving a nail to. And
Yes.
just don't stop thinking about where you're going to be next.
Don't
So,
don't think about today. Don't think about yesterday, last year, or what's coming up next month. Think about the here and now. Stay
all right.
present.
Yes. So we'll be back next Tuesday. Feel free to drop us a note. And I'm going to leave. Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to do all of that. Subscribe, like, follow. What else?
Send
Share.
us an yeah, and share and send us
Yeah.
an email if you have any questions. Reach
All
out.
right, everybody. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week.